Welcome everyone in this new video tutorial about the multiplayer combat editor. In this video we're going to view how to implement our status proc effect into a skill. So what does it mean? In previous videos we've been through how to add a proc effect to a status, and we actually apply damage to the target being affected by the status when the effect procs. And in that video we're going to see how the skill which spawned that status can actually retrieve that event and do gameplay action based on it. And why would you want to do that? Because in there you see we said when you proc you deal damage, and we actually connected a lot of things to apply damage. We found our instigator combat manager and stuff like that. We've done that, and this is actually a bunch of nodes which are already wrapped up in the skill class. So if we actually build the logic, the gameplay logic in the skill rather than the status, it's going to make us able to use less nodes to do more. So we're going to view that, but it's going to have a side effect, which is if another skill spawn example. If, for instance, we created example status and we said example status it deals damage every 0.5 seconds. Good enough. And we generated that example status with our skill thrust. The skill thrust is giving the example status is applying the status to targets, and then the status takes care of what it does. This means that if we create another skill which applies the same status, it's going to work right away. The status is going to deal damage. But if we instead build the gameplay logic into the thrust skill, if we apply example status with another skill than thrust, it's not going to do anything. You got me? Okay, so we're going to implement that logic anyway. So we're just going to get rid of everything here except for the add proc effect. So this says example status spawns, lasts 5 seconds, and procs every 0.5 seconds. And thrust can retrieve that by we're going to go in our thrust skill, right click, and type in on status proc, retrieve this, and it's giving us who is the status which status is currently proccing. So we can just say here simple apply damage, for instance. Who is the targets, like before, make array, make find result. We're grabbing the targets of the status. So this is, this is basically doing the same thing we were doing, but if we are using the skill logic to apply damage, simple apply damage is going to use the damage you specified there. So in our case, thrust is now doing 3 damage, applying a status which then deals 3 damage every 0.5 seconds. So we're just going to try that out real quick. And it's apparently not working. Why is it not working? Quite interesting. It should be working right away if I'm not mistaken. So we have applied our status and we are applying damage to it, and we are getting our damage. and I'm not sure why it's not working. We are actually adding the proc effect. I'm just going to check real quick. Where is the dispatcher on proc being called? When we add a proc effect, we are adding that event dispatcher, and skill are supposed to be tied to that dispatcher. I'm just going to check real quick. On status proc, we are actually registering ourselves to that status. Maybe that was a client server bug. We're just going to check that real quick. No, it's not dealing damage. Why is it not? Is that never called? It's supposed to be called. So I'm just going to open up one of the example status we created. For instance, poisoned. We are adding the proc effect, and then we are doing this here. We are not using the skill. We weren't using the skill effect in that case, and in that case either. So this is just an early access bug. I'm sure I'll make sure it works. So in our case, it should work right away. So this is another way you can you can grab the stat, you can add a proc effect to your skill. You actually apply a status which has a proc effect, and you retrieve the proc effect into your skill. So in there you could be saying, so I'm just going to add a print string in there just to know if it, I think it just doesn't trigger actually. So I'm always hitting F1, which is a hotkey I'm using usually to compile. So I was sure it wasn't even triggering. Yep. So I'm going to fix this forward into early access. But in there, you are supposed to be able to actually retrieve your proc effect and do stuff about it. So that's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.